It's Thursday, July 25. In the headlines, the government allocates $1.3 billion to collect bulky waste across the island. In business news, 30% of businesses say lack of funding the reason for delay in expansion. Regionally, Canada and the FAO launched a gender-responsive, climate-smart agriculture program for the Caribbean. And in sports, Bonnie Shaw and Leon Bailey nominated for the CONCACAF Women's and Men's Player of the Year awards. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. $1.3 billion has been allocated for the collection of bulky waste and the eradication of mosquito breeding sites across Jamaica following Hurricane Beryl. Prime Minister Andrew Holness made the announcement at the launch of the National Derelict Vehicle and Bulky Waste Removal Program in Port Moore on Wednesday. Mr. Holness explained that $500 million has been allocated to the NSWMA.
We have bought never before crane trucks, tipper trucks, so that we now have capacity not just to take up garbage and compact. Now we have capacity to lift cars, the old cars, lift the old refrigerators, lift the bulky waste and remove them. So that capacity is there. In addition to that massive expenditure, which happened before Beryl, we didn't know Beryl was going to come. We have now allocated just over $500 million to the NSWMA to conduct this program. What is this program now? This is the National Cleanup Program post-Beryl.
10 loads of bulky waste have been removed from the Waterford area, along with 10 derelict vehicles. Mayor of Port Moore, Leon Thomas, says it is a welcomed initiative.
We have suffered for a long time. We have served notices and derelict vehicles, garages within the municipal corporation, but we did not have the tools to carry out the removal of these derelict vehicles.
Portmore residents have long complained about mosquito infestation and have called for increased fogging activities.
So the discussion between ourselves and Minister Tufton, that he's going to look how we can train people in Portmore and have a dedicated team for Portmore, because the size of the parish, with the number, the size, yes, the size, yes. The size of St. Catherine Parish, the size of St. Catherine Parish, comparing to the amount of people who is employed to carry out vector control within the parish, the number is small.
Prime Minister Holness acknowledged that each parish should have its own capabilities to conduct fogging to rid communities of mosquitoes, but notes the ongoing vector control program being implemented by the Health and Wellness Ministry.
You know, my view is that every parish should have their own capability for fogging. Every parish. And I'm certain that that is how that is how the Ministry of Health is going to deploy its resources in a regional way. So they may very well have parish-based capabilities.
He says the government has made an allocation to the Ministry of Health to expand and intensify fogging. The level of damage to homes, economic vulnerability as determined by employment status, the number of persons with disabilities in the household are some of the criteria being assessed in order to effectively allocate restoration grants following the devastating damage left by Hurricane Beryl to many households. Minister of Labour and Social Security Colonel Charles Jr. shared some details about the program during Wednesday's post-cabinet press brief. The cash assistance program is being implemented in collaboration with the World Food Programme over a period of 2 months. Minister Charles Jr. says priority will be given to households that meet specified criteria as established by the World Food Programme, as well as the calculation of a vulnerability score using 4 criteria.
The criteria includes the level of damage to the household and to the home, the economic vulnerability, of course, as determined by employment status and other criteria, the number of persons who are in the home and those, if any, who are disabled, and additional vulnerabilities such as the age, gender, whether the households have elderly persons who are living alone, and such things.
He says the Inter-American Development Bank has offered support as well.
Supplies such as food, water, non-food items, temporary shelter, latrines, medicines, veterinary products, agricultural inputs, fire retardants, among others, cash transfers and vouchers, the hiring of expert advisors and operating personnel for the assessment of emergency needs and of the damage and losses resulting from disasters, and the provision of technical assistance through their partners that they have, through specialized organizations that can help us in terms of the recovery, and also offering support in other areas such as mobilizing emergency personnel and the auditing that will be required throughout this process.
UNICEF has also offered help.
UNICEF will be targeting the most affected areas and also targeting those children who are on path. And as they focus on those children, with a special focus on the children with disabilities between 0 to 6 years, pregnant and lactating mothers, what we will see is an intervention where cash and care packages will be provided to those persons who are registered with the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities and those participating in the early stimulation program.
Mr. Charles is therefore urging parents whose children fall under these criteria to register their child in the respective programs. The government is providing temporary relief from customs duty and general consumption tax on goods imported for rehabilitation works linked to Hurricane Beryl. The relief runs from July 4 to August 23. The announcement was published by the Ministry of Finance this week. It says the move arose from the activation of the Disaster Risk Management Act and the impact of Hurricane Beryl on Jamaica. The ministry says in a statement that this is in accordance with 30B of Second Schedule of the Customs Tariff and Section 47 of the GCT Act. Chief Financial Officer of the Jamaica Public Service Company, Vernon Douglas, announced that approximately 60% of its 692,000 customers will benefit from a recently announced 20% discount on electricity bills. Speaking on Nationwide at 5 on Tuesday, Douglas explained that the discount will be applied to current charges and reflected on bills starting in August.
All our prepaid customers who receive one-off credit of $1,500.
For how long?
For the month of July.
And how does that stack up in terms of their usage per month?
That would represent a substantive part of the average prepaid customer. And similarly, 150 kilowatt hours would represent the usage for the lion's share of our residential class, 60% on average to be exact. It would be applied to as a credit on the August bill in relation to the July consumption and bill.
Douglas also mentioned that around 236,000 customers, primarily in western parishes, will receive estimated bills. Despite criticism, JPS has relaxed payment and collection terms.
It's widely spread. It's across several parishes. as you can imagine, particularly in the western parishes. And it also equates to when the billing cycle was. Certainly if you were in St. Elizabeth, for example, and your bills might have been, if they were read on July the 1st, then they would have been impacted. If they were, another section of St. Elizabeth was supposed to be read on the 4th, then would have been impacted. A lot of the concentration is indeed Clarendon, Manchester, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth, but it's across the entire island that you have the effect.
Defending JPS against claims of misleading data about its success in restoring power post-hurricane peril, Douglas said the issue lies in the interpretation of the data provided by the JPS. Energy Minister Daryl Vaz had suggested that JPS's updates on restoration efforts were inaccurate and incomplete.
I think it's a matter of not probably understanding all the facts around the matter. What I can say...
Oh, the minister doesn't understand the facts.
We have no intention to mislead anybody in terms of where we are with our restoration. Sometimes I think what might be the source of the dissonance here is that when we say we have restored between Magotty to Elderslie in St. Elizabeth, where I'm from, that's the major supply route. You might have Cook's Bottom, where we have had a broken pole or a washed out pole impacting a few customers there that is still not restored. You can have some dissonance in that sort of data and how people wish to interpret it.
JPS decided to offer the discount to over 300,000 residential customers amid a public backlash over its plan to issue estimated bills for the June to July cycle. Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ will open the doors of select tax offices this Saturday, July 27, 2024, as it continues to provide weekend services every last Saturday of the month for the 2024-2025 financial year. The following tax offices will operate this Saturday between the hours of 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The Constant Spring office in St. Andrew, Montego Bay Freeport, Mandeville Tax Office, and the St. Anne's Bay Tax Office. The Portmore Tax Office will continue its usual weekly Saturday operations with adjusted business hours between 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Time now for the business report. ATL Automotive Group has officially been selected as the regional master dealer for the British car manufacturer MG Motor. This partnership includes the brand's sales and after-sales operations in Jamaica, with further regional management of 10 other Caribbean countries, including Aruba, the Bahamas, Bermuda, Bonaire, Cayman, Curacao, and for the first time, the Dominican Republic, Belize, Haiti, and Turks and Caicos. The company plans to establish a robust dealer network to support car and parts distribution, provide comprehensive service support, lead regional marketing initiatives, and offer top-notch training programs for its carefully selected dealer partners. Temporary showrooms will be established in proximity to ATL Automotive's flagship location on Oxford Road, with plans to construct state-of-the-art sales and service facilities in Kingston and Montego Bay by the end of 2025. Houston, Texas-based Avelo Airlines announced that it will launch its first scheduled international route this fall between Jamaica's Sangster International Airport and Hartsford Bradley International Airport, starting November 16, 2024. According to Avelo, it is the only airline offering non-stop service between Montego Bay and the capital region of Connecticut. The carrier will operate this route twice weekly on Wednesdays and Saturdays, utilizing Boeing next generation 737 aircraft. Almost 30% of businesses said lack of funding or access to funding impacted plans to expand in the second quarter. The latest Business Confidence Survey, which polled 100 businesses, showed that this represented an 8% increase compared with the first quarter. Executive Chairman of Market Research Services, Don Anderson, which was commissioned to carry out the survey, said the lack of funding and access to finance topped the list of reasons given by businesses at 29%. This is compared to 21%, which gave the same answer in the first quarter. In regional news, the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO's Sub-Regional Office for the Caribbean and the Government of Canada on Wednesday signed a grant agreement for gender-responsive, climate-smart agriculture and food systems in the Caribbean.
In the coming months and in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl, the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, will be implementing a gender-responsive, climate-smart agriculture project in the Caribbean. It will be done in collaboration with agricultural ministries in 8 Caribbean countries, including Guyana, and aims to promote climate-smart technologies in agricultural value chains. It focuses on youth and gender issues by enhancing their capacity to improve market access and income. The Government of Canada is funding the project with 10 million Canadian dollars. Speaking at the launch was FAO representative in Guyana, Dr. Gillian Smith, who noted that the FAO has been working with the Government of Guyana, citizens, and agencies towards increasing the efficient use of the resources of the country.
In Guyana, where we are promoting integration of agribusiness in the sector, and we're looking at the sustainable use of land management, or the sustainable land management practices, proper use of data, and strengthening data management so that we can use it to make strong and decisive policy decisions. We've been working as well a lot in fisheries as FAO, all towards increasing the efficient use of the resources of the country, as well as to ensure that at the end of the day, the farmers, the fishers, the producers are maximizing their potential. They maximize what they can produce, they maximize what they can earn.
The project will prioritize the needs of youth, women, and producer organizations, provide equal access to training activities, and develop knowledge products to enhance learning. Climate-smart tools and technologies will be introduced to enhance production and agro-processing efficiencies. Deputy Director and Head of Cooperation at the High Commission of Canada in Guyana, Adam Loyer, acknowledged the impact to the regional agriculture sector in the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl.
In the aftermath of Hurricane Beryl, I would be remiss not to recognize the significant damage observed to agriculture, food security, and livelihoods of many farmers across the region. The urgency and importance of supporting countries to have sustainable and resilient agri-food systems is critical.
A new report from UNAIDS reveals that the Caribbean region has the potential to end its AIDS epidemic by 2030, but only if leaders take decisive action now.
The report, titled The Urgency of Now, AIDS at a Crossroads, highlights both progress and challenges in the fight against HIV and AIDS in the region. According to the report, the Caribbean has made significant strides in HIV treatment and prevention since 2010. However, the pace of progress has slowed in recent years, particularly in reducing new infections. According to Janelle Benjamin, Program Coordinator for the National Infectious Disease Control Unit in the Ministry of Health, said a lack of education surrounding healthy sexual practices and a lack of political will poses the biggest challenges.
Throughout the entire region, and the pace at which we are slowing down with regards to meeting our targets for ending AIDS by 2030 is the lack of political will, right? It's the lack of political involvement. And it's primarily not that, and I don't want to, it's primarily not because they are not interested, but there is a possibility that there are other priority areas that may have taken the forefront. Right now in Grenada, if I can hone into in the Grenada context, that is somewhat what we're experiencing. Now, within the Ministry of Health, there is that level of support that we get, right? However, Ministry of Health is going to also have challenges when trying to extend our reach.
The UN AIDS report highlighted 4 countries, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Jamaica, accounting for nearly 90% of new HIV infections in the region, with Haiti alone responsible for 38% of new cases. Benjamin said records show the prevalence of the disease mostly among young people. She added that for the past 6 to 7 years, we have maintained our numbers between 20 and 25. However, last year was one of the highest they've had during the period, 29 new cases, with men being the highest of the 2 genders.
So our age range for new infections has always been and remains between the age of 20 to 45. At some point, a few 5-6 years ago, we were at 25. Now we have gone down to 20. That is slightly alarming, as it means that our younger population is now becoming exposed at a higher rate. All right, it means that more and more of our young youthful population are not just engaging in sexual practices, but engaging in unsafe sexual practices, and they are not. They're more so engaging in these practices without the knowledge or the understanding about protection and HIV, STI.
The fight against HIV and AIDS in the Caribbean continues, with the National AIDS Commission working to equip Belize effectively. Dr. Russell Manzanero, Director of the Epidemiology Unit at the Ministry of Health and Wellness, notes that HIV cases in Belize haven't significantly increased, but efforts to reduce them are ongoing. Enrique Romero, Executive Director of the National AIDS Commission, discussed how the public can stay HIV-free at home. Here's more on that.
Globally, one of the strategies that has been working in reducing the incidences of HIV globally is the introduction of HIV self-testing modality. So that is something that the National AIDS Commission has been advocating for and promoting and working closely with the Ministry of Health and other partners. And we have introduced, last year, we introduced HIV self-testing, more of a pilot, because HIV self-testing basically is you do the test on your own. So last year, during the pilot, what we did, we asked people to come into the facilities, civil society facilities, was at Belize Family Life Association and Go Belize in Belmopan. And they went into a room, and a person there would assist them in conducting the test. Now, the idea now this year is, and I believe that the colleagues in the Ministry of Health have started rolling this out in some of the districts, is the tests are available at the Ministry of Health facility. You can go to any health facility, you ask for an HIV self-test kit. They would give you the kit. The kit comes with a pamphlet that shows you exactly what you do. The kit also has a barcode that you can, everybody has a phone nowadays. You take your phone, you scan the barcode. It takes you to a YouTube channel that shows you exactly how you go about doing the HIV self-test.
In sports, we begin in the field with football. Jamaican players Khadija Bunny Shaw and Leon Bailey are among the nominees announced on Tuesday for the CONCACAF Women's and Men's Player of the Year awards, respectively. A news release from the Football Federation says fan voting has opened for the two awards, which is based on performance statistics and the input of football experts. Bunny Shaw displayed her skill and versatility this year in front of the goal for Manchester City women before a leg injury ended her season early. But the striker has played 25 matches and scored an impressive 22 goals with 5 assists, and her remarkable scoring talent earned her a nomination for the prestigious 2023 Ballon d'Or. Leon Bailey had an impressive year with Aston Villa in the English Premier League and the Jamaican men's national team. Bailey played 11 matches for Jamaica in 2023, scoring 2 goals and providing 2 assists, helping the team reach the semi-finals for the 2023 CONCACAF Gold Cup, where he played in 5 matches and scored a goal. We turn to cricket. West Indies bowler Gudakesh Moti missed the second test versus England at Trent Bridge due to injury, but is on the road to recovery and is expected to feature when the team take the field for Game 3 on Friday. The media caught up with the ace spinner at practice and he indicates he's ready to go.
I'm feeling way better now. Yeah, had some pills, fishermen friends, and yeah, I took that. It was disappointed, but at the end of the day, I could have done nothing to it, so yeah, I'm disappointed.
Moti made his mark in the first test with the wickets of Joe Root and Ben Stokes, which is a rare positive to take away from that outing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I think so far in my career, that's the two biggest wickets to my name, so yeah, I really enjoyed it. We all know how good they are, and I think I was putting in a lot of work heading into the test match and so forth, and I'm happy with the success I have.
The spinner also had success with the bat, putting up his highest test score of 31 not out in the second innings to go with his 14 not out in the first.
Going into the game, I told myself I don't want to get out, and that's the only how I could move up the order, by coming out not out, and so yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Moti outlined the goal now that the series is lost.
I'm really looking forward for this test. It's the last test here. We already lost the series, but it's a lot looking forward for this test. The series is already gone, so our next thing is looking forward for the test championship, gain points and see how we could move up the table.
The third test starts at 6 a.m. Eastern Caribbean time on Friday in Birmingham. Wayne Cunningham, TTT Sport.
And that's it for the news on PBCJ. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, we are the People's Station.